to speak this. I'm so concerned. I can't even tell you how concerned I am. Because of what I'm experiencing in my own personal life. Like, I mean, the Lord has led me to come on this channel, make a channel, and speak to my experiences. That's what the Lord had led me to do. So my first thing was the 40-day fast, and then after the revelations I started to come to in relations to healing and what I personally experienced in my body with the 40-day fast, fasting and praying, warfare, all that kind of things, which are all intermingled, interlinked. But recently I had an experience with my own kin. I won't even say who the people are. But what I'm realizing is that this generation is a very, very lost generation, so far removed from the word, and everyone professes to know God. When it's Christmas time, everyone's talking about Jesus, about being nice and being kind, but most people don't have a clue about how the word and the simple things that we do that contradict the word. For example, so today I had an experience. It's not the only experience I have, but this today was like a revelation, like a light went off in my head today. Someone had called someone else a loser. And first of all, I never spoke that way. I don't talk that way. I would never speak that way about someone unless and I might have in a moment of blacking out and being totally extremely upset. That's the only time. Now, what happened was the person was calling someone a loser, and there was no real reason for it. It's just that this person had a sense and a feel of superiority over the other person for whatever reason. These two people are family. These two people have been pit against each other purposefully and tactfully, which is like a form of witchcraft. And both perceive themselves as being entitled in some way. But one is extremely mean, not because there's a reason to be mean, but because it's a way of being. There's a lot of people on this earth that exemplify this narcissistic personality. They may not be and I refuse to categorize people as narcissistic anymore. I mean, who's to decide at one point it's just narcissistic traits and narcissistic character or personality? I just believe that Jezebel is the umbrella that encompasses all the demons that are associated with narcissism. And pride is the huge factor in this. Pride. I have okay, so these people I'm talking about are very attractive, very pretty, young, and very smart. And we're often told this growing up. I, as a mother, always thought that this was a good thing, to empower your children to be, because I was never told these things myself. I was never encouraged. I was always worn down, like, stop to, why are you doing your nails? Like, why are you doing this? Why don't you go read a book? Nothing. I was never taught to care, like personal care for myself, unless I was sick. And I got the bare basics when it came to care for me. So like food, clothing, there was not much love and care. And I realized that when I raised my own children, and I had to start, and I worked in a school. So I raised my own children at the same time. Simultaneously, I worked in a school. So I used to, teach social skills, teach kids about interacting with each other, what's appropriate, what's respectful, how to show what words are caring, what words are, the different degrees of words. So happy, elated, sad, angry, melancholy. There's different degrees of how we feel. And then I realized going home when I had my kids, when they started to become like, old enough to really understand what was going on and have to say I love you. I realized at some points it was a difficult thing for me to do, to say I love you. It's something that I had to do consciously until it became normal for me. So I realized that I didn't have a lot of nurturing, not a love, not a lot of affection growing up. And I wanted it to be normal for my girls. So I think I kind of maybe went the other way, a little too, maybe too far the other way. And I was constantly rewarding my girls with praise and with encouragement and like highlighting the things that were negative about them. I mean, were positive about them, and really not, and being tactful with how I address the things that I think they could work on. That being said, I think God knew this would happen. He foresaw this, and he foreknew us. So he knew that my girls would have the mother that I am, the father that they have, and that I would be the way I am based on how I was raised. Now, the issue I have is that there seems to be this thing with women, young women nowadays, that they feel just because they're attractive, and maybe intelligent or have something going on with them, that they can expect to not only get what they want, but to treat people any way they want to. And I'm so beside myself. And not only that, they can see those traits in other people. It offends them, it perturbs them, but they can't see those same traits in themselves. I am there. You know what? As at this point, what I realize is that there's certain battles I can't fight. There's certain battles that I won't win unless I'm on my knees praying. And if you can relate to what I'm saying, my experience might be different because I chose to put myself in this position where I was working with young people. So the young people I worked with were suspended and expelled. So I had a lot of experience with kids who were troubled. But I feel that more than less of the young people nowadays are troubled. Um, the norm has always been um, that the home is imperfect. No one's home is perfect. But what I'm finding is that more than less now, a lot of people need healing. Like this is a generation of young people who grew up with laptops or iPads in their hands, or iPhones in their hands, or cell phones in their hands. A lot of times parents put their kids down in front of these things and expected these things to entertain them while they did other things. Where these are a generation of young people whose parents um, sought to do better for them than they had done for themselves, so they went out and they worked. A lot of parents, you hear a lot of us celebrities will brag about how I provide, I provide, I provide. I went out and I worked, I got a business going so that my kids wouldn't have to do whatever. But the point that what's missing is the love, the time that people should be putting in with their kids. And so we have a generation of young people that were raised by the media, social media, mainstream media, and by our school system, whose intentions towards our young people has not ever never been positive. And now that things are unfolding in Hollywood, we're going to see how negative these intentions were. This she confusion thing that's going on is all a part of it. It's all a part of this. Something as logical as if you have this, you're this gender, or if you have that, you're this gender. How could that be a problem? How could an education system be that's supposed to be responsible for educating our young people to be the adults of tomorrow make that kind of a statement that logically it doesn't make any sense? I can't tell you how concerned I have. The scriptures that came to me were life and death are in the power of the tongue. This generation will say things about people, call themselves this, call themselves that. So a girl might call herself a thought, or I'm a this, I'm a that, or to call a person a loser, or whatever else. Not even thinking of the power of the words, the curses that you're speaking over yourself or other people. I'm absolutely uh, shocked by the looseness of people's words. Are we so far removed from God that we don't realize that our words speak curses, that our practices bring curses? So, for example, recently I was in a store. I'm working on a video for this. A store like I don't know if in where you are there's a Marshalls, but we have a Marshalls and we have Winners. They have a lot of like high end stuff, medium end stuff, and they have clothing, shoes, jewelry, some foods like shelf foods, and toys, stuff like that. And I started to take pictures and video of the things I was seeing because we're getting close to Hallows Eve, and I couldn't believe the trinkets that they have for this particular one day of the year. It's just one day of the year. And not only the things that they have, but the prices on them. And I you know, what I'm finding is that I think what the Lord is doing, and I've mentioned this before, He's preparing those He was chosen first to not want to be here. And I'm not talking about being suicidal for not want to take your life. What I'm saying is that He's preparing people to not be enamored with this world. Most people that I know that have been chosen for this time are discouraged. They are frustrated. They are shocked. And they don't see value in the things that most people see value in: clothing, celebrities, status, money. Because what God's going to do, and the Bible talks about this, God's going to remove all these things suddenly. We're going to have none of that. From one day, we're going to have everything booming going on. The next day, we're going to have just darkness. We talked about the 3 days of darkness. And people are going to have to reflect on the things that they've said to people, the things that they've done, the people they've hurt, the choices that they've made. And today I really had to reflect on, not just today, yesterday, and the day before. I've had a full week, actually, a full 7 days to actually ponder this. And the concern I have about what's happening around us is huge, because the 3 days of darkness, the revelation has been that there's going to be people who are going to be possessed with demons. You already see who they are. You already know who they are. When you tell them about God, they don't want to hear. You're being too religious. The thing, like if you talk about gender and gender confusion and same sex, whatever, same blank, whatever, they get offended. Oh, that's racist. Oh, you're hypocritical, because they've been taught to think this way. Righteousness is not a thing for them. Like righteousness is being religious as opposed to just how we're supposed to be living. We're so far removed from what God's intention for us is. People will give their body to someone who they barely know and then be shocked later on when they're attached to someone who they know for sure is not going to be their partner for life, and they don't know how to get the heck out of it because their heart's involved. Like, we're totally backwards. And really, I don't even know what to say. If there's a fault to be had, who's to blame. I just know that our world is upside down, and people who are in positions of influence and who are responsible for young people should be ashamed. That's my clear and utter thinking about this. There are people who go to church and who are deep into witchcraft. We have full churches of witches and warlocks who profess God, and every time I talk about this, I don't come to any more of a conclusion as to how this makes sense, or how they're thinking they're getting away with this. Like, which God are they fooling with this? Like God is stupid. And my conclusion has always been, the only conclusion I can come to is, people do this because, first of all, one, this is all they've known. And two, it's powerful. The enemy gives these gifts, these magical gifts, to do magic, to cast spells, to make people sick, to take lives, just like that. But God expects that He's not going to put new wine into old wineskins. He expects us to be righteous for His name's sake. He's not going to just give us gifts. Miracles are just as real as magic. Not just evangelists and pastors can do miracles. Anybody who believes in God can do a miracle. It says that people are living in such sin that they can't manifest a miracle. It saved their life, even if they were in church. They're self-righteous, they're pretentious, and the ones who are the heads of the church are into witchcraft. So they're not a good example anyway. They'll smile in your face and give you the dirtiest cut eye behind your back and feel no way about it. This is a rant. It's become a rant. And I apologize for that, because that's not what I wanted to do, is to give the two scriptures. Life and death are in the power of the tongue was one. The other one was about curses. I can't remember what it is right now. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, where we just speak these things into life and don't realize that we have the power to hurt the people we love with the words we speak. It's horrifying. And then you wonder why, like there's certain families where everyone's divorced or everybody is sick and everyone's dying of cancer. Most people are dying of cancer. Or, there's a lot of people who have been chosen for this time. Many of them, if not all, have been chosen to break curses in their family line. And it's unfortunate and very sad that there has to be this has to happen, that these curses have to be broken. My heart is filled with heaviness because I need to pray specifically, and now I know what to pray about in relations to my own kin, my own children. Because